Ladies and gentlemen, bass players around the world, Detroit bass players, DetroitBassPlayers.com, and all kinds of bass players everywhere. We got with us right now, we're doing an interview with another bass player. He's not from Detroit, but he's been hanging out with us in Detroit, Mr. Andy Irvine. How you doing?
Doing good. How are
I'm,
you today?
I'm all right. Now, how you pronounce the name again?
Irvine, like Irvine, California.
Irvine, California. Now,
Yeah,
you really recently came up here in Detroit. What were you here for in Detroit?
I was there doing a bass clinic with Warwick. I'm doing this thing called the Sound of Bass Clinic Tour, and I'm visiting 25 cities around the United States this year, sponsored by Warwick and EMG, and it's an educational event that is geared around bass playing and Warwick products and EMG products and just overall musicianship, really.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna digress a little bit. When did you start playing bass, and why?
Okay, I started playing the bass in 1982. Some of the kids in my neighborhood had a band, and I wanted to be in that band, and I didn't really pick the bass. They kind of picked the bass for me, you know. They said if you're going to be in the band, you got to play the bass. So I did, and that was in 1982, and it was been my 12th birthday. So I got a bass for my 12th birthday, and you know, I knew right then and there was something inside me just, you know, clicked over. I knew I was going to play bass the rest of my life right then and there. I swear to you, I knew it right then. That was all I was ever going to do.
So since that time, from then on to now, when you started, you knew you were gonna play bass. Did you like start listening to other bass players? Who were some of your influences on bass?
Yeah, well, it changed over the years. Early from the 80s, you know, from 82 to 87, 88, I was into rock and hard rock, classic rock, and heavy metal. So my early influences was like John Paul Jones from Zeppelin, Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, Roger Glover from Deep Purple, John Entwistle from The Who. You know, these was the early influences. And then around the time I was in college. I started gigging on the a little bit around town. Some of the cats around there started giving me some work, and I started getting into blues. And that's when my whole direction changed. I started getting into soul music, rhythm and blues, soul, funk, R&B, and a little bit of jazz. So then my influences, you know, and everything I was all about and everything I was listening to changed.
Did and some of those cats. Who are some of those cats?
Some of the early R&B and blues cats is like Donald Duck Dunn, and
May he rest in peace.
yeah, he just passed this week. Broke my heart, really. You know, Donald Duck Dunn and the blues, and Noel Neal, Chicago bass player, Kenny's brother. You know, they got a whole bunch of Neils up there in Chicago, come out of Baton Rouge. But Noel Neal was a big one to me. He was a big kind of a mentor, really. Johnny B. Gaden, you know, with Albert Collins and many others in the blues. And then in soul music, I was into Larry Graham, Verdine White, Bootsy Collins, Louis Johnson, you know, many others along those lines.
Okay, now you say you going to school. Were you going to school for music?
Yeah,
College?
I was going to a community college, and I was taking music as my it was a liberal arts with degree program, you know, which you had your math and your science and everything that you had to take. But then my concentration was on music, so I was taking music theory and various different ensembles, and I was studying the upright bass, you know, trying to bow on that, and learn a little bit about this and that, you know, classical music and stuff. But yeah, the main thing I got from college, you know, when I started going to college, my professors and my mentors there said right off the bat, they said, "Man, you could play. You already could play." The thing you need to know is the different bags. You know, you need to know, like, you know, the different characteristics of the different bags so that you can always be working. And they worked with me and taught me a lot about you know, some simple approaches to or understanding of chord progressions like the 2-6-5-1, taking 3-chord blues changes and making it into more of a jazz thing, song forms and different grooves, the samba groove, the rumba groove, the shuffle, the various different shuffle grooves, the 12/8 feel, the swing, and we worked a lot on that. You know, my main mentor was a drummer, and we spent a lot of time. You know, and it wasn't really like official class or nothing like that, but he was just kind of teaching me, you know, what he thought I could really use, and sure enough, it was what I could really use. You know, that was the most stuff I got out of it. That and the theory. You know, I learned about music theory when I was there too. But the classical music and everything didn't stick with me because I didn't have no interest in it. I didn't have no interest in it from the beginning, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
I couldn't get into, you know, which composer wrote which kind of style and, you know, 1700 and this or that, you know. It didn't appeal to me at all. So the music history part and the classical part of it, I didn't have no interest in it. So it didn't stick really.
Okay. Well, I know you're doing these clinics and that and stuff, but
Yeah.
you've had to been doing some pretty big gigs to get an endorsement with Warwick. What are some of your works?
Well, what I kind of been known for is just being kind of like a greasy road dog. I've been on the road ever since I was 18 years old, but I've just been on the blues scene. You know, some of the recent artists I've been working with are quite accomplished. You know, Eden Brent, multi-blues music award winner, multiple blues music award winner. I'm just getting ready to go on the road with Mike Zito. I've done some work and continue to do some work with Diuna Greenleaf. You know, these are all acts that have won the International Blues Challenge and have either been nominated for or won several of the Blues Music Awards, which is kind of like the Grammys for blues held down in Memphis. I kind of got into that scene, and that's where I work. You know, I work in the clubs and on the festival scene, both in the United States and in Europe. And I just been a road dog. You know, I never been in no big, huge, you know, multi-platinum, you know,
Right.
MTV #1 kind of band like that. I just always been a working kind of pro, you know, just working, just trying to stay working. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that's
Hey,
kind of my story. And I did a lot of session work too.
Right. I
When
was
I,
going to ask you session work.
yeah, when I lived in Florida in the '90s, I played on about 35 albums throughout a 10-year period, and then since then another 15. So over the years I've been blessed to get involved with various different artists that have hired me to play bass on their different records. And some of them have used me on multiple records, meaning I did one album with them and then I ended up doing 3 more albums with them and stuff like that. So I have a little bit of a career going with the session work, although the industry has really changed with session work. It's not like it was.
Right. Yeah, we can get into that next time. But check this out. Do you teach as well?
I teach a little bit around home here. I tend to work more with programs than do private teaching, although I do have a couple of students that come around. You know, I tend to, if a cat comes around and is really into it, then it just becomes more like a mentorship, you know, and I just teach them anything I know. I'll just give it to them. I don't set it up where like the kid's got to come over and his parents got to smack him around to get him to come to his lesson and everything like that. I'm not into that. It's like if you want to be here and you come next week, you know, knowing what I taught you last week and you know, and everything like that, and really taking an interest in it, then I'll spend all the spare time I have with you. I don't advertise my, you know, private teaching, and I don't work at a music shop or nothing. First of all, I live way up in the mountains in a very small town, very way out of the way. And there's a few local kids that come around and take lessons, and if they take a real interest, I'll definitely spend time with them. But I don't advertise my my teaching around here locally. I'm involved with the Blues in the Schools program, and I do my clinic tours, and I mostly talk to groups of people about inspirational musicianship. I just happen to be a bass player, but the way that I present my my presentations is more about inspiring music in general, inspiring the musical journey in general.
Okay, and so I take it you don't teach online either, like via Skype or something.
I would. I'm not objected to it. I'm not objected to anything. It's just finding the time, really. Honestly, I spent a lot of time preparing and doing the administrative process of making my clinic tour happen. It takes an enormous amount of planning, publicity, and just organizing people and organizing just to make that thing happen. Now we're going to be going over and doing it in eventually 16 different countries around the world, and it's basically a full-time job just doing the marketing side of the thing, and the work that I do with Warwick as a product specialist. It takes up a lot of my time. That and touring.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. A couple of our guys I noticed plays Warwick, like Kern Brantley.
Yeah, I know Kern.
And what'd you say?
Me and Kern are buddies. I know Kern. Yeah.
Ralphie Armstrong get an endorsement.
Yeah, Ralphie come out to the clinic and played. He was out of the clinic.
Speaking of the clinic that you did here in the Detroit area, how much fun was that, man? I wish I could have been there.
It was dynamite. First of all, Carrie Lacey, y'all, you got a special cat in that town, Carrie Lacey. I just met this man, but he seems to have this kind of energy about him that that's real cool. He just really seems to have his hand on the pulse of what's going on with bass in Detroit, and he opened his arms to me before I even come to Detroit and helped me to promote the event. And as a result, many bass players were there because he encouraged them to be there. There was a great turnout from the Detroit bass players. And I got to meet a lot of really cool cats that I didn't know before. And it was cool in the sense that some of the places that they're always different. Some of the places that I go to, it's more about education. There's a lot of kids there. It's like an educational thing, and I'm gearing my program around that. Well, when I roll into Detroit, it's like there's like 16 pro bass players in the house. So it's a different kind of. I'm bringing a different kind of program, something that them cats are going to get something from, like they want to know about, Warwick, they want to know what's going on with Warwick and what's going on with the basses specifically, and, why I'm playing them and what makes them, happening and whatnot. And there's just some other stuff about technique and everything like that I can go into that they can relate to because they're already, players,
Right.
So the Detroit clinic was killer.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I wish I could have been there. And Perry Lacey is a fine guy, fine basses and everything. I get a lot of information from him too. He knows the cats. He knows all of the cats.
Yeah.
And so I take it he the one that got you hooked up with the Detroit bass players on Facebook, huh?
Yeah.
So what happened when you got on the Detroit bass players on Facebook? What happened? You like the vibe on there?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's been so cool, just it's this kind of community vibe that's all about it's about community and fellowship, really. God, the town's like it's crawling with hot players, but it doesn't have that competitive vibe, it has more of a fellowship. More of just a community, a musician community, particularly bass players, and it's all about this, just kind of like this fellowship and this kind of like sharing and being friends, and everybody loves playing. And I didn't catch no attitude whatsoever, which was refreshing because sometimes being a clinic guy, I come rolling in, and cats got some kind of expectation that they think that I think that I'm something special or whatever, and and you know, I don't. You know what I mean? I'm just a cat. I'm just a player. I'm just a guy who's been at it for a while. I got my own style, my own way of doing it, and that's what I talk about. You know what I mean? All I talk about is the way I approach playing, the way I think about playing, and some of the stuff that I've been able to do over the years, you know, and hopefully some people can get something from it. But in Detroit, man, all those cats, they welcomed me with open arms, and it was really cool. You know, that's the bottom line.
We got another site. Both sites, the Detroit Bass Players on Facebook, was created by a guy named Craig Sconey.
Yeah, Craig. I got to mention Craig. Go ahead.
And he also created the a site called DetroitBassPlayers.com. So when you get a chance, go check it out. It's a forum, and please join it. And tell us something about Craig.
Okay, yeah, Craig, man. Craig was instrumental in making the whole thing happen because he went beyond just helping me to make the Detroit thing happen. He's a graphic artist, okay, and a web designer, and just an all-around skilled technical cat, you know, which I'm not when it comes to computers and this and that, but you know, I get around on it. But he has the skills to do like documents and images and poster files and different things like this and that. And he actually helped me by making me these ads, these little promo ads and stuff like that. He made them on his own computer and gave them to me out of the kindness of his heart. Not just for the Detroit clinic, but for other clinics I was doing. So I mean, what a sweetheart, you know what I'm saying? He just totally helped me out, you know. And he's you know, I hooked, you know, at best I could do is, you know, help him by, you know, giving him a little bit of this and that. But you know, I gave him a couple strings and a Warwick jacket and stuff like that. But now we have a relationship that's on a whole nother level, me and Craig, because I'm, you know, I'll be able to basically, you know, hire him to help me do some marketing things that I cannot do myself. So by meeting him, it was a huge benefit to meet Craig. He's dynamite.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I appreciate the. I mean, he's the one that inspired me to do these interviews just by creating both sites. And I love him. Man, I noticed in the background, man, I see like a Warwick head. I saw some basses over there on a swivel, and I see amps. And what the heck? There's basses all around you, man. What's going on?
Yeah, man. Check this out. I'll give you real quick. This is my. I got a whole bunch of Warwicks. This is my star bass. It's a beautiful semi-hollow star bass. These are all my amplifiers. This here is my custom Angel bass. My sister hand painted this Angel on this bass.
Wow, beautiful.
And this is an Angel bass. It's of course a Warwick Streamer Stage 1. And this here is one of my other custom Warwick Streamer Stage 1. This one called Black and Nasty with the quadruple A quilted maple top and the triple A flame maple fingerboard, matching headstock. Oh, and this one's got, the lighting's a little too much, but you can't, it's got the LEDs on it.
Yeah, I saw them.
Yeah, and then, you know, I got the Alien, Warwick Alien acoustic. This thing's super cool. I got it strung up with some flats right now. And, you know, this is all my gear. When I come to Warwick to be an endorser, they set up a program where, you know, as an artist, you're entitled to get artist pricing on a lot of different instruments. And then my relationship evolved from more than just being an artist to I actually got hired by the company to be a product specialist. So a few of these instruments are my personal instruments, custom instruments that were built for me, and a few of them are for marketing. but as a
Okay.
result, they get to live at my house.
Right.
And I do demos with them and stuff like that. So they're mine, but they're for the purpose of marketing and getting the word out. Having a bunch of these instruments here in Colorado, I can hit people to them, and I can take them out and play them and everything like that. So
Well,
yeah, I got a ton of Warwick gear, and I'm real happy and blessed for that.
and
I
so
had one bass for 19 years.
yeah,
One bass.
it was a
And now-
Warwick.
No, this is years ago. But now, now I had one bass for 19 years, and now I have, now I have 16 basses.
Yeah, I see a few on your right hand side too, over your shoulders. Like it's on like a swivel stand. I see straps and everything. Boy, that's a lot of bases there.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
16.
So that's all you play is Warwicks.
Yeah, exclusively. And I got one that does everything. I got a fretless. I got an acoustic. I got two acoustic bass guitars. I have an electric upright Triumph bass, 5-string electric upright. I've got 4, 5, and 6-string models. I've got the semi-acoustic Star bass. I got a 6-string Corvette.
And,
I've got.
and you're not just playing these because you're getting paid. You actually like this bass and it feels good.
Oh yeah, man. I always say this, and this is the honest to God's truth. All the years I had different instruments. They would do this right, this right, this right, and this right, but this one thing wrong. No matter what instrument I would have, they would do 1, 2, 3, 4 things just perfect, but there'd be one thing that they didn't do right, and it kind of got on my nerves because I'd end up, I'd sacrifice or I'd struggle a little bit with one part of it because they did the other part okay. It wasn't until I got my custom Streamer Stage 1s made that I realized that I had found the perfect bass for me. You see what I'm saying? It's got the broad neck spacing. I was able to put my own kind of pickups in it, which is EMGs, which I endorse, and I love EMGs. It's got the 34-inch scale. I don't like 35s. I like 34. It's got just everything about it fit me perfect, and no longer was I struggling like I had in the past. I finally got one that does everything killer, and that's the story.
I can't wait till that happens to me when I get the perfect bass in my hand. I might have to look at a couple of words then. Huh?
Well, I hope you do. Well, yeah. Well, there's a lot of different things that they're doing at Warwick that makes it possible for you to find that. First of all, just within the Warwick Series instruments, there's different neck shapes, widths at the nut and at the end of the fingerboard. There's different neck shapes on the back. If you like it thin, or if you like it round, there's different neck shapes. There's a whole bunch of different pickup configurations. There's 8 or 9 different body styles. There's different wood choices. There's different preamp choices, active, passive. If you like it a real shiny kind of fly-looking instrument, there's that. If you like a real simple, plain-looking, elegant wood-looking instrument, there's that. So everything that most people might want is there in terms of just aesthetically pleasing, playability, sound, materials. It's all there. And then to take it to another level, there's the custom shop. Right. So you can order. Say you decide that I like a Streamer bass, but I like maple fingerboards, like me. So no problem. You say I want a Streamer LX, but I want it with a maple fingerboard. No problem. They charge you $350 extra or something like that, and you got a maple fingerboard on your bass, and it's custom made specifically for you. Dude. Same thing if you want pickups a certain way. Same thing if you want a broad neck. Same thing if you want 4, 5, 6 string. Same thing if you want a thin front to back neck or thinner at the nut. So you can create your dream bass.
Okay. Well, so can you tell me where some of your next clinics are going to be? You got a itinerary or something, or just in general? Well, first give me your next clinics, and then in general, what your plans are for the future. Okay,
I'll just give you a rundown of what the next 6 months looks like. Okay, I'm going to be next following week from next. I'm going to be in Mississippi, in New Orleans with Mike Zito Group doing festivals. Then I'm going to come back for 4 or 5 days. Then I go to Hungary, and I tour the entire country of Hungary, and I do 8 bass clinics throughout Hungary. Then I come back from there, and I have more blues festivals with Eden Brent, another artist that I play with, piano player from Mississippi. More festivals with Eden Brent. Then next thing is, see, we're into July. Then I go out with Diuna Greenleaf, do some more festivals, blues festivals, touring. Summer's a big blues festival touring time. And then I'm going to go to tour Europe in August for 2.5 weeks with the Mike Zito group. Then immediately after that, I'm back in Germany in Markenkirchen at Warwick headquarters for the bass camp and for the 30th anniversary. Then I come back, and then it's the Northeast Sound of Bass Clinic Tour, Warwick Sound of Bass Clinic Tour that's going to be up in the Northeast, followed by the Southeast in November, or in October. And then in November, my own group, the Andy Irvine group, goes over and tours Europe for 2.5 weeks into the beginning of December. And then basically the NAMM show is coming up, Christmas and the NAMM show, and then it kind of starts over next year. And we're looking to do this year we did 25 clinics in the United States. Next year we're looking to do 40 in the United States and an additional at least 30 internationally. So it's growing big time next year.
Well, congratulations, man, on all of that work and stuff. Anything else that you would like to say before I let you go? Because I don't like keeping people too long, you know. Because I might want another one later.
I just want to say thank you, you know, from the bottom of my heart. I'm blessed, you know, the situation that I found myself in the last 30 years. Yeah, right now I'm making money and I'm able to pay my bills, and this helps out my family situation tremendously, you know, my home life. But all along, I've had a great journey. I've always enjoyed playing bass, and I've had a lot of blessed opportunities, you know, to be able to play and travel. And anytime that anybody has interest in what I got going on, like yourself, and the support and everything like that, I just appreciate it, you know. I appreciate it, and thank you.
Okay, so speaking of that, how do we get a hold of you, and how do we keep up with you?
Well, the best way to keep up with me pretty much is Facebook or my website. My website is AndyIrvineGroup.com, AndyIrvineGroup.com. But, you know, there's not a whole lot on that because that's primarily about my European touring schedule, which is I only tour over there a few weeks out of the year. So that website isn't going to give you as much information as, say, just keeping up with me on Facebook, because that's where my day-to-day stuff is going to be.
And how do we find you on Facebook?
There's 3 different pages. There's the Sound of Bass. There's the Warwick Sound of Bass Clinic Tour page, official, which is specifically for the clinic tour. Then there's my Warwick page, which is Andy Irvine Warwick. And then there's just my regular personal page, Andy Irvine. But they're all, I mean, I put the same content on all of them. And the one that I use the most is just my regular Andy Irvine page, you know.
Okay, good, man. I really, really appreciate you doing this interview with me on behalf of Detroit bass players, which I try to represent on the video end. And I hope I get to meet you next time around you swing through Detroit, you know.
Yeah.
So, dude, I want to thank you, man.
It's my pleasure. Likewise, you know.
Okay, so.
My pleasure.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this was none other than Mr. Andy Irvine, and up in Detroit, we like to thank you, sir.
Ed, my pleasure. I look forward to coming back and seeing y'all. Really do.